Coming up on SportsCenter, the red-hot Rockets turn their sleepy into Utah's nightmare, while the Pistons and Knicks tangoed at the Garden. In the NHL, the Blackhawks look for revenge against Minnesota. The Great One battled Vancouver. The Golden Bear battled tradition. And the umps are just embattled. Don't run off your horse. SportsCenter will turn you upside down next. Welcome to SportsCenter, everyone. I'm Jim Bergamo. Well, the Pittsburgh Pirates reached deep into their pockets to keep one of their outfielders. We'll tell you who and how much in just a moment, but we'll begin in the NBA, where the Jazz and the Rockets battled Saturday in a key Midwest Division matchup. And you know, even though both Utah and Houston entered Saturday's game a full game behind the Spurs, few would dispute that the Rockets are the hottest team of the three at the moment. Even Utah coach Jerry Sloan admits that he doesn't know if anybody's playing any better than Houston. Houston's Sleepy Floyd says, "We'd be disappointed if we didn't win the division." Well, the Rockets had a chance to prove that point, plus hand Utah some disappointment Saturday night. We'll pick up the action. Jerry Sloan's team, knowing this was an important game. First quarter, Stockton dishes to Karl Malone, 15-footer. He had 10 first quarter points, but the Rockets storm back. Akeem Olajuwon gets the rebound, outlet to Kenny Smith, who dishes to Vernon Maxwell. Counted, he's fouled. First quarter ends in a 23 tie. Second quarter, Stockton with the steal. Now he thinks he's got an easy layup. Not, says Akeem. At the other end now, the action continues. Floyd hits the jumper. Rockets going to the intermission up by 8 at the half. Second half, Blue Edwards kind of blew as the Jazz took some punishment. Buck Johnson, 2 of his 23 points. Jazz wouldn't die, though. Karl Malone, this guy is so strong. Look at this. Powers by Larry Smith. 31 points, 15 rebounds for Malone, but Akeem picks up the loose ball, knows what to do with it. He had 19 points, 17 rebounds. The Rockets win it 97-88, their 11th straight at home. Sleepy Floyd comes off the bench to score 20 or more points for the 17th time this season. The Rockets, who haven't won the Midwest Division title since 1986, are now just a half game behind the Spurs, while the Jazz fall to a game and a half back. After a successful palatial return, Isaiah and the Pistons visited the Knicks. Tough night for Isaiah, as you can see, elbowed, cut over the eye. First half, John Starks, the nice pass to Ewing. He had 35 on the night. Knicks up by 15 at the half. Second half, Knicks start rolling. Starks, the alley-oop to Ewing. But the Pistons get out too. Joe Dumars, look at the nice move and fadeaway jumper. 2 of his 30. Dumars had 16 points in the third quarter alone. Then in the fourth, Isaiah drives the lane. Count it. He's fouled. Pistons within 2, 72-70. Knicks announcer John Andres hoping New York wouldn't choke, but Jackson picks the pocket, dishes to John Starks. And guess what? The Knicks don't choke at home. 101-88. The victory clinches the final Eastern Conference playoff spot for the Knicks. And the Detroit loss also means that the Chicago Bulls clinch their second division title in franchise history. Heading into the NHL playoffs now, the Chicago Blackhawks were considered the favorite to win the Stanley Cup this season. They finished the regular season with the best record in the league, 38 points ahead of Minnesota. And yet, Minnesota surprised the Blackhawks in Game 1 of their best-of-7 North Division series by upsetting Chicago at home Thursday night. Saturday, the Blackhawks were looking to get even on their home ice. We'll pick up the action. Before the game, Mike Keenan sitting near the organ, hoping his team's play would be sweet music to his ears. Jeremy Roenick hits Kurt Giles, and then Roenick and Greg Gilbert double-team Sean Chambers. Chicago then uses some finesse. Chris Chelios beats Steve Larmer. Blackhawks lead it 1-0 after 1. Second period now. Chicago up 2-0. Jeremy Roenick walks through the defense, finds Warren Reichel for his first goal of the season. Blackhawks lead it 3-0. Third period, Minnesota gets a penalty shot. Basil McRae, normally known for hitting, actually scores on the penalty shot. 4-1, Chicago still leading. Belfour was sharp despite that penalty shot. Mark Tenorti, the slap shot. Belfour, the save. Chicago wins it 5-2. Blackhawk head coach Mike Keenan, you may recall, promised some wholesale changes, and he delivered, including Warren Reichel, who played in only 2 NHL games prior to Saturday's playoff contest. In the other Norris Division semifinal, the Blues were hoping to split with the Red Wings in St. Louis. Red Wings goalie Tim Chevalier, sensational. Adam Oates sets up for a wrist shot, but Chevalier comes up with the glove save. Later, Brett Hull breaks in alone. but Chevrolet comes up with a tremendous glove save. First period, Red Wings on a 5-3 power play. Yves Racine slap shot goes between the pads of Vincent Riendo. Detroit leads 1-0. Later in the period, Paul Eiserbart, the shot, Bob Probart puts in the rebound. Red Wings up 2-0. Move to the third now. Jeff Brown on the point. His slap shot goes between Chevrolet's pads. Blues actually down 2-1. 78 seconds later, Dan Quinn with the spin scores. Game's tied at 2. Later in the period, Brett Hall, fans on the first shot, the second shot's all net. Blues take a 3-2 lead. A little late game frustration. Bob Probert comes in and decks Vincent Riendo. But Riendo, cheer up, you get the last laugh. Your team wins at 4-2. So the Blues even the series at 1 thanks to Hull's game winner. The Blues have outshot the Wings 81-48 in the first 2 games, but yet manage only a split. We'll have more NHL playoff action in just a moment, but on to baseball now, where despite both sides posturing as if a settlement were about to be reached, Saturday the Major League umpires went on strike. And about the only thing at the moment that's a lock is a lockout come Monday. ESPN's Chris Myers has more on Saturday's developments.
The owners are paying so much money out to the players. Players' salaries have now risen to over $700 million. I think the owners and perhaps the league presidents are intent on saying that we draw the line somewhere, and this is where we draw the line.
Currently, umpires earn a minimum of $41,000 a year with a $100,000 ceiling. Now, they wanted an increase from $78,000 to $170,000. The league has offered some increase, along with vacation time improvements and a boost in postseason payments.
It became clear that there were significant economic differences between the parties' respective final positions, and when the association indicated to us what their bottom line was on some economic issues, we concluded that we were just too far apart to make further bargaining at this time appropriate.
There are individual players who make more money than all 60 of the umpires. So at this point, $750,000 is said to be the difference between the two sides, seemingly small. Another difference is what to call this labor dispute, seemingly big.
I don't know what they're calling it, but they're not working, and I view that as a strike.
Are they wrong to call it a lockout?
We are not locking them out.
They haven't made the April 1st payment. They haven't given the umpires any assignments to go to any ballpark in this country. They haven't given them an expense allotment, and they told me that they wouldn't allow them to work even if they wanted to work. I'd call that a lockout.
Well, at the moment, no new bargaining sessions are planned, and you may recall that the most recent labor dispute between the umps and the league came back in 1984 in the playoffs. There was also a strike at the start of the '79 season. In other baseball news, there's a new $4 million man in Pittsburgh, and no, it's not Barry Bonds nor Bobby Bonilla. It's outfielder Andy Van Slyke. The Bucks gave Van Slyke a 3-year contract extension worth $12.65 million, one that'll pay him $4 million this season.
Money obviously is a factor in staying, but it is not the biggest factor. There are so many other reasons why I wanted to be a Pirate for this decade, first half of the decade, hopefully the whole decade, Larry.
To add Andy Van Slyke for 3 more years to this club is very significant. When we came here, we had a good young nucleus. That nucleus is starting to grow older, and Andy was an original part of that nucleus, and it looks like now this assures him a chance of being here at least as long as any of the rest of the nucleus is.
Well, what about Bobby Bonilla? He was 2 for 5 today against the Tigers, 1 RBI. Any chance for a negotiation of a new contract for him?
As far as Bonilla is concerned, we made our best pitch, and that didn't work, so I consider the fact that we have Bobby for 1 more year, and then we'll have to replace him next spring.
You made your best pitch. Did you make your final pitch?
Yes, sir.
Sounds like the Pirates are pretty resolved on Bonilla. Turning to New York now, Mets pitcher Frank Viola wasn't as lucky as Van Slyke. Viola wasn't able to come to terms with New York on a contract extension, and the left-hander says he'll likely file for free agency after this season. Viola is looking for a 4-year deal worth $20 million. The Mets are perhaps finding themselves a bit short on spare change since they just signed Doc Gooden to a guaranteed $15.5 million 3-year contract on Monday. Well, Orlando Magic fans got a double dose of good news Saturday. Point guard Scott Skiles had a large hand in both. We'll have the rest of the NBA news in just a moment. And also on the ice, the Vancouver Canucks look for their 12th road win of the season, while Wayne Gretzky and the gang look for revenge. We'll have details from the Forum when SportsCenter returns. Well, back to the NHL, and the Los Angeles Kings were one of the 4 Campbell Conference teams that were upset in the opening round of the playoffs. The Kings, coming off their first ever division title, had a 5-3-0 regular season record against Vancouver. Still, the Canucks rallied and upset LA 6-5 Thursday night in the best-of-7 Smythe division opener. Could they pull off the upset again with the Great Western Forum? Site of the battle, Los Angeles being coached by Cissna's Cap Reeder and Rick Wilson because head coach Tom Webster serving that suspension. Second period, 1-0 Canucks. Vancouver's quick running tips in Trevor Linden's shot, 2-0 Canucks. Vancouver's goalie Troy Gamble taken out by John Tonelli. But the Kings come back. LA's Dave Taylor. The puck's deflected in by Rob Blake. 2-1, Vancouver still leading. Third period, 2-1 Canucks. LA's Luke Robitaille with a slap shot that scores, and it's 2-2. We go to overtime. In the overtime, LA's Thomas Sandstrom, the shot. Stopped by Tony Granato. Tony Granato's shot is also stopped. Wayne Gretzky finally puts in the game winner. 3-2. The Kings pull off the victory on their home ice. They had to go to overtime to do it. Gretzky, as you saw, the game-winning goal. Series now tied at a game apiece. The Oilers carried a 1-0 lead into Game 2 of their series in Calgary. The Battle of Alberta resumed at Olympic Saddle Dome, and first period physical from the start. Calgary's Stephane Matteau hits Glenn Anderson, who then upsets, literally, Gary Fraser. First period, though, Gary Suter puts the Flames on the board with a shot that beats Grant Fuhr. Flames lead at 1-0 after the first period. Second period, Theron Fleury with the shot, saved by Fuhr, but Doug Gilmour with the goal. Flames lead at 2-0. That would be the game winner, my friends. Oilers played rough. Mark Messier with a hard elbow on Rick Natras. And look at Natras. He doesn't know if he's in the Saddle Dome or in the Saddle period. Flames lead 3-1 after 2 periods. Third period, Mark Messier, the breakaway. But Mike Vernon with the save. Vernon the story, 35 saves as the Flames win at 3-1. The Flames even the series at a game apiece, but they lose the home ice advantage. And the bad news for the Oilers, Calgary is 6-1 in playoff series when they win the second game. Back to the NBA now. Fact number 1, Orlando Scott Skiles is a strong candidate for the league's Most Improved Player award. Fact number 2, Skiles had given the Magic a deadline of this weekend to sign him or possibly lose him to free agency. Well, it's not certain which of those 2 facts figured in the Magic's decision, but regardless, Skiles now has a new multi-year contract. Terms weren't disclosed, but reportedly Skiles had been seeking a deal worth about $2 million a season. Skiles and the Magic hosted Boston Saturday, hoping for some fireworks. Well, they got some early. Celtics hot, though. They had the fireworks early on. Brian Shaw with a skip pass for Reggie Lewis for 2. Magic hanging tough, though. Skiles, he of the new contract and the new hoop. Kevin McHale down low, 2 of his 18, as the Celtics go up by 2 at the half. All eyes on slam dunk champ D. Brown. For 2, Celtics up by 10 early in the fourth quarter. Looked like they were going to cruise, but the Magic comes back. That's Otis Smith off the glass. 1:18 left. Celtics up by 1, but Scott Skiles, the driving layup. Magic's up by 1. And then Skiles shows why they gave him a new contract. Yeah, the Celtics run out of gas. We're not touching that one, folks. Celtics played without Larry Bird, who was back in Boston, having his injured back checked out. Skiles finishes with 26 points, 8 assists. The Celtics see their 4-game winning streak snapped, while the Magic wins for the 6th time in their last 9 games. Golden State dropped in on Sacramento, and Don Nelson, well, he's got the look of a guy with a long night. Why? Well, there was one bright spot. Newly acquired Warrior Vincent Askew with a pretty left-handed layup. Warriors up by 3 at the half, but the Kings pull away. Sacramento's Dwayne Coswell had a cause on this night. The L Train, Lionel Simmons, 2 of his 31. Back to that man, Coswell. The offensive rebound and the slam, and then slams in the air ball. And then, how about a little 2-handed power dunk? Coswell 16 points as the Kings win it 119-108. The Kings nailed 5 3-pointers in their fourth quarter. That's the good news for the Kings. The bad news is they now travel to Los Angeles for a Sunday meeting with the Clippers. A loss by the Kings would tie the NBA record for consecutive road defeats at 34. Well, to boxing news now. And George Foreman's return to the ring has apparently paved the way for the other 40-something pugilist. Former world heavyweight champion Larry Holmes will begin his comeback Sunday night in a scheduled 10-rounder in Hollywood, Florida. Holmes, who's 41, will face Tim Anderson. And Larry says he'll be stepping back into the ring for 2 reasons.
Number 1 is the money. The money. But I don't have to do this at all. But the money plays a very, very important part. Because if they didn't give me no money, I wouldn't be out here doing it. But the money is not my main motivation. It's not my main goal. My goal is to become the champion of the world once again.
And Larry Holmes is a successful businessman, so yeah, he wants the money, but he certainly doesn't need it. Up next on SportsCenter, Darryl Strawberry had a big night against the Angels Saturday. We'll have pictures for you. We'll also check out Jack's progress in his own backyard. The Golden Bear closing in on the tradition. But first, here's a look at the rest of Saturday's NBA action, starting with Atlanta's 27-point thrashing of the Pacers. Dominique Wilkins and Spud Webb combined for 57 points in that one. Be sure to join Chris Berman, Ray Knight, and Peter Gammon's Opening Day Eve for an hour baseball special, Preview 91, we call it, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll preview the season and get you started for opening day. Well, almost 45,000 fans converged on Dodger Stadium Saturday. Yes, it was only an exhibition game, but it was against the Angels, and the winner would take the lead in what they call the Freeway Series. Who would get the lead? Well, we'll pick it up. Mark Langston on the hill for the Angels. Top of the second, no outs. Darryl Strawberry stealing second after he had walked to first. And then Jeff Hamilton comes to bat. Sizes up the pitch from Langston, sends it the other way. Strawberry's going to score. 1-0 Dodgers. Tommy Lasorda. He's playing with a beach ball. He's having so much fun around here. This is a day at the beach for him. Why? Well, top of the ninth, Darryl again, doing what he does best. Solo home run. Strawberry would account for all three Dodger runs in this one as they win it by the score of 3-1. All right, moving on now. Saturday's the day most major league teams put a lid on the spring training and ready themselves for opening day. Several former teammates opposed each other as the Red Sox met the Orioles in the nation's capital. We'll pick up the action in that one. Washington, D.C. trying to land an expansion team, 37,000 on hand, including former Congressman Tip O'Neill. Danny Darwin looking for his 5th win of the spring. Now, he and Glenn Davis were teammates on the Astros last year, but Darwin got the better of his former teammate on that one. Dwight Evans, facing his former mates for the first time, goes down. Red Sox win it 4-1. Fort Myers, Rangers and the Twins. Scott Leyes appears to be the Twins' new starting third baseman. With a bat like this, why not? Kenny Rogers of the Rangers again doesn't know when to fold him. 2-run shot. Twins win it 4-3. Braves, Cardinals, and Richmond. Ken Hill on the hill for the Cards. 5 2/3 inning pitch. 5 Ks, 2 hits as the Cardinals win it by the score of 2-1. Wind blowing out at Wrigley for the Brewers and the Cubs. Ryan Sandberg says, yeah, I like that wind blowing out. Had 4 spring training home runs, make it 5. 1-0 Cubs. Top of the ninth, though, Robin Yount slaps it over short. A run scores. Brewers go up 3-2. Bottom of the ninth, though, Cubs try to rally with 2 on. Gary Scott, the smash. But look at Bill Spires, the clean pickup. He's out at first, and Brewers hold on to win it by the score of 3-2. Well, Fly So Free is the current favorite in the upcoming Kentucky Derby, but if the 3-year-old colt turns around, he just may see Denard gaining on him. Still, the gelded son of Strawberry Road showed his mettle in Saturday's running of the Santa Anita Derby. Dave Johnson has the stretch call.
And down the stretch they come. Best Pal to the front by 3/4 of a length. Denard charging up on the outside. Sea Cadet drops back. Now a 2-horse race for the wire. Denard on the outside with Chris McCarron up to take command and win the Santa Anita Derby by half length.
Denard wins the hard-fought half-length victory over favored Best Pal. He covered the mile in an eighth in 1:48 flat, and he established himself as a solid Derby contender. Well, on to the links now, where Friday, after holing a putt from the fringe, the leader of the Tradition Seniors Tournament, Phil Rogers, fell down in jest. Well, Saturday, Rogers almost fell again, this time from atop the leaderboard. But the fall was avoided thanks to another spectacular shot. We'll start it off with Jack Nicklaus, though. A big day for Big Jack. On the par 5 18th, sinks the birdie with 6 under 66, the best round of the day. Still, he's 5 strokes behind this man, Phil Rogers. Why? Because of shots like that. Rogers tied for the lead at 11 under. Yes, his comfortable lead has evaporated. Why? Because Jim Colbert makes a charge. He's also at 11 under. And Rogers slipped to a round of 73, so he still holds on to a share of the lead with Colbert. Jim Dent, Ben Smith tied for second, 4 strokes back. Thanks to his 66 Saturday, Nicklaus finds himself just 5 strokes off the pace, along with John Paul Kane. Chris Johnson and Jan Stevenson were the only golfers to fire 7 under 65 Saturday, so it shouldn't be a surprise that they're running 1-2 at the LPGA's Ping Welch Championship at Tucson. McMillan and Donna Andrews are tied for third, 7 strokes off the pace. And we're going to take one little correction. The Freeway Series was in Anaheim, not Los Angeles. Up next, we'll meet George Jetson. We'll have the highlights from the WLAF game between Orlando and London. George wasn't the only cartoon character to show up. As we head to break, here's a look at the rest of Saturday's exhibition baseball scores, starting with Seattle's win over San Diego. Ken Griffey, as you see, also a home run. All right, a look at some of the tennis action in the semifinals of the Prudential Classic. Restano defeats Sampras. Agassi defeats Washington. Well, the football news now, and if you wanted a tip on the WLAF prior to Saturday's game, the best tip would have been go European. The teams across the Atlantic did their best to eliminate the Americans from the World League of American Football. We'll start it in London, where the undefeated Monarchs hosted the undefeated Orlando Thunder. Now, Thunder quarterback Kerwin Bell has been playing out of this world. 9 touchdown passes. George Jetson and Astro had come to check out Bell, but all they saw was a long afternoon. Bunch of guys named Smith having havoc with the Thunder. Carnell Smith with the sack. So Thunder coach Don Matthews consults his assistant, and Betty Boop drops in. Maybe that was Bell's distraction. Who knows? Bell, anyway, picked off by another guy named Smith, Irvin Smith, for the second time of the day. And so naturally, they go to a Smith. The Monarchs do. David Smith scores his second touchdown of the game. Orlando lost in space as Dr. Smith and the Monarchs wiggle their way to a 35-12 win. Bell intercepted 4 times in the 35-12 defeat. And Kerwin Bell, who threw for a total of 610 yards in his first 2 games with the Thunder, was held to just 200 yards by the Monarchs. European squads continued to dominate the day, as you see Barcelona and Frankfurt also winners. Well, a wild finish at the Grand National Steeplechase Saturday. We'll have that and a look ahead to Sunday when SportsCenter returns. Stay with us. Some of the stories making headlines Sunday. The Suns without Kevin Johnson and Tom Chambers have to meet the Lakers at the Forum. Well, we already showed you the Santa Anita Derby. We'll now bring you another kind of horse race, one so grueling that only 17 of the 40 entrants even finished the race, and one where the horse with the biggest heart crossed the finish line. We'll pick up the action. The Grand National Steeplechase in Liverpool, England, considered the world's toughest steeplechase. 4.5-mile test with 30 jumps. Not all successful, as you can see. Many horses and jockeys don't finish this race. Down the stretch, Garrison Savannah has a huge lead over Seagram. Seagram a 12-1 shot. Let's pick up the call with Peter O'Sullivan.
Seagram who hasn't given up. Garrison Savannah with Seagram putting in a tremendous run. Seagram is beginning to get up on the near side. Seagram is taking it up, and he's going to win the National. Seagram, a first rise.
Great comeback by Seagram to pull out the victory. And a final note, nobody seriously injured in that one. That's it for this edition of the SportsCenter. Third round action of the Traditions Seniors Tournament is next. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jim Bergamo.